Okay, you guys, it's time for day 17. This is Christine of 30 Days of Sketches, and I have to be honest, I've already kind of peeked at this, and I'm not really certain what I was thinking. Let me get this out of here. So the sketch is by Lisa Marie, and it has, I'm not sure if this is supposed to be an 8.5 by 11 or not. It's a little tricky to understand, but let's just say it's a 12 by 12. And then there's a there's like a couple of paper layers. There's embellishment clusters, photo in the middle, and a little, bit of stuff up here. So titles going along the side here. Now, here's what I got, and this is what's throwing me off. I don't know why these are in here. Like, I don't know why I put these in here. This is not shown on the sketch at all, but I clearly had an idea. And then I do have a white cardstock, okay. And then I have this piece here. Look at that. That's so funny. It's Best Creation, some kind of puppy love. This is from, well, I don't have a date on this one. I don't see a date. It's quite old. I know that. But I clearly wanted to use this side. I know this is the side I wanted to use. So I'm kind of thinking in my head, was this intended to be, I think the left-hand side here, like if I'm looking at the sketch, there's a big piece here. And then this piece goes here, which is totally fine. And then I have this, the picture is the National Archives, you guys, when we went to DC for our Christmas trip. This is where they keep the original copy of like the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. It is really a beautiful building too. That was a really cool experience, I'm not going to lie. And then I have this visitor's guide, and I had these on my desk. I want to make sure I like scrapbook these. So I'm kind of thinking I may have to deviate just a tad just because I have extra stuff. Other ones I've actually tucked these in behind, but I'm kind of thinking maybe I'll just double these up and this can go to be my title. Like instead of being sideways, I'll just use this as my title. And so maybe that's what I'll do. So I don't know what I had this for though, you guys, unless it was to do something like this. This is what's throwing me off. I don't know why I had this in here. I don't know what I was doing unless it's to go up here. I mean, I could do that. That's just so strange. I don't know what I was thinking. I'll have to mess with that. But anyways, that's where I'm starting. So let me get to, I don't have any embellishments, you guys. None. So I'm thinking maybe wood veneers. I may get into my wood veneers and see what I got going on. So let me do some cutting and freaking figure out what I was thinking. Well, you guys, I'm not going to tell you I figured out what I was thinking, but I had other thoughts, I guess. So the other funny thing is she actually gave measurements on this sketch for the size of the papers, and I did not even notice it until I was looking at it after I finished the layout. So if you happen to do this sketch, just pay attention. She, in that lower left corner down there, she does have measurements for your papers. I, on the other hand, just kind of eyeballed it. So I've cut down my little diamond paper. I'm going to cut down this little bow bunny piece here. And I actually will introduce 2 additional scraps a bit later on. But I haven't done that yet because at the moment I haven't decided to do that. I did mount the photo on white cardstock because I knew I was going to need that to kind of separate. I will tell you, I think I gave it a little too thin of a mat. I don't know. I think it's okay because after I add the scrap papers, it looks fine. But initially I was like, okay, I'm going to put this here. But I wasn't 100% sure I liked the mat size. Okay, so I got my little visitor guide over there, and I'm kind of figuring out, okay, how long does this need to be? Because, again, I didn't pay any attention to what size it needed to be on her notes. So I'm kind of laying this down here. I'm not sure what I do next, you guys. I know I've got this little strip here. This little strip I actually will cut, obviously, right there. And I'm going to actually use it on the right-hand side of my little paper, my brown paper there, too, just because I think it brought it in and made it look good, look a little more balanced. So I'm going to snip this off. I'm actually going to take off that little zigzag too, and I'm going to use it. It's actually going to be my second stripe up there. And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to introduce something else I don't have out here. I'm going to grab some buttons. I told you about the wood veneer. I'll grab some couple of wood veneer arrows. But here I'm building these 2 little stripes here. First I'll put the zigzag on the bottom, and I'll actually flip it to the top in just a minute. I have to fast around, you guys. I'm looking at this. I'm like, okay, this is this is fine, but it's not really got enough going on here yet. So here I'm pulling out these wood veneers. Initially, I start with letters because I thought, well, it's the archive, so it's got documents, and this is the train of thought I'm having. I'm going to use these wood letters, but they end up not looking right to me. They're actually too big, which I actually like these big letters. I need to figure out a way to use them. But in this layout, I thought this just looks a little too big. I don't know it just struck me funny after I got these set down here. And I was actually going to use letters that I wouldn't use normally. They're almost kind of like Roman numerals, right? Oh, maybe I should have done that. I don't know. Anyways, no, they're too big. I just decided they're too big. Because I got these little buttons here. I only had two. So I've pulled out two of these little wooden buttons. And I think, okay, those aren't bad. They're circles. And she had little circles drawn. They don't have to be circles, you guys. On the sketch, she drew circles. But they don't have to be circles. But I decided to use circles. So I put those down. And then I'm going to decide in a minute I need to get some black buttons. Or actually, I think I go to my button drawer to think I might get some wood buttons. And then I realized, no, there's a black circle in the middle of that visitor's guide. And I kind of like that as an element that I could repeat. So that's why I end up with black circle buttons. But I'm still dinking around looking for wood veneer here, you guys. I will, like I said, pull out two arrows. Saturn's yelling at me, by the way. She wants something, a treat or something, and I'm not giving it to her. It's not quite time. So if y'all hear her crying, that's what she's doing. Okay, so I got my little wood buttons here. I'm still not done, though. I think I've wandered off to get the other bucket of buttons. I should have probably cut this out. I don't watch every inch of my film, right, before I start voicing over. So here's another piece of wood veneer. I decided against that. That's way too big. Maybe I do go get the buttons. There it is. I've got the buttons now. You can kind of see I've got the buttons. I decided I need to ink the edges of the paper because it's just looking too stark to me. I don't care for it. It needs a little something. You can see my black buttons. You can see I've actually pulled out, there's a little like fake postage thing, like a letter. It's kind of laying there on the right-hand side. You'll see me put that down in just a minute. And I've also pulled out, I don't think you can see those yet, but I have these little fabric squares I've had for a really long time. They're fabric square stickers. The intention is for you to like stamp or draw on them or something. I'm not going to be doing that, but I will add them to this layout to ground my clusters. I also got photo corners for my visitor's guide because I didn't want to be gluing it 100% down. And so I'll use some photo corners. And let's see what else I got going on. I will actually ink too at the end. I'll grab a little bit of Lindy's Stamp Gang. I don't know. I shouldn't have maybe doing that, but I like it, kind of. The challenge is the little diamond paper's glossy. I don't know. I think it looks okay. I'm okay with it. This layout's kind of, I'm not going to say it's one of my favorites. I don't know what is the color palette, how I managed to execute it. I'm not really certain. I like it okay, but it's definitely not, I would consider my normal, like, it's not one of my favorites. Let's just put it that way. I struggled with it, and I shouldn't have. It's not that complicated of a design, but for some reason, I just struggle with it. So here's where I'm putting these little photo corners on here, and I do like how I used this as my title, though, because, you know, she had the title going on the side of the picture. And I do like how I was able to kind of get this used up, you know, in a good way to have it on the layout. So here's where I'm looking at this photo, and I'm like, I'm thinking to myself this whole time, like, I don't love the photo on that white map by itself. I'll go ahead and assemble these clusters here. I'll use a little Nuvo glue, I think it is, to glue it down. But here's the little fabric square. So you can't almost tell, but it's like made out of canvas, kind of. And it's just going to ground them to me. They kind of felt like they were floating a little too much. Not necessarily this cluster, but the other couple that I was messing with. So that's kind of how that's going to look. I'll take some glue in a minute. I'm going to use I say that, I'm going to actually use glossy accents to glue the buttons down. And I'll have to mess with that, but I took that off camera. I don't make y'all watch me mess with that. I have to take my pen after that every single time, my little stick pen, to open it up. So I'm gluing that down. I'm going to glue my little zigzag down. This is where I find my little scraps, though. I found a yellow one with like some swirly stuff on behind it. I like that pattern, actually. I thought this went really good. It kind of went with the diamond paper, and then the little stripe here went with the little mustard color on the bottom of the visitor guide. If you'll notice, there's like a little mustard colored banner that says Washington, D.C., and this little stripe went with that. So I'm going to assemble all this stuff, and I think I'll glue the bottom cluster. No, I think I'll do the upper right cluster first. This takes me just a second. I did enjoy this particular building. Like I said, the experience of going in and looking at the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and stuff, they keep the lights very, very low because, of course, they're trying not to damage the documents. They're in behind glass and all that. And I don't even know, there was information, I think, on like the thickness of the glass and all that kind of stuff, I think. But the lights were real low. You know, there was definitely like guards and stuff there. Everybody was just kind of whispering, and you're walking around, you're reading. It's awe-inspiring in a way, to recognize how old the documents are and how important they were and stuff. And honestly, in a way, you're just kind of grateful somebody thought to even save that stuff. Do you ever do stuff at home and you think, oh, I don't need that piece of paper, and you toss it, and then later you're like, oh, shoot, I wished I hadn't thrown that away. That was kind of important. I just didn't know it at the time. Obviously, these were founding documents, so they probably recognized how important they were, but it was really cool. We wandered around in there and, like I said, read the things. They had all the pages kind of, you go along there like spread out, and it was really cool. And then the other stuff, they have like all these different sections, different books or different, because it's the National Archives, right? So I'm trying to remember now, because we're at the Library of Congress and I don't want to mix the two things up. I'm trying not to trying to remind myself like what was in what, but I do remember, you couldn't take any pictures in here either, really. Like, it was really kind of not a thing. You couldn't, definitely not where all the founding documents were. And even everywhere else, I think there was a lot of signs that said no pictures. So I don't have a ton of pictures from within the building, which is one of the reasons I took it outside the building. So I've glued this stuff at the bottom down here, and that little guy there is a little bit crooked. I have to glue him down. That really wasn't shown on the sketch, but I just had that extra zigzag piece, and I thought I'll just use it. So I'm just using it. It's adding a little something. Here's where I'm going to start. Why am I having trouble with this, you guys? Oh, I'm a little square. I almost forgot my little square up there. Oh, I actually use a smaller one than that. I'm going to switch that out. I don't like the big one. I need a little bit smaller one. I'll use the big one at the bottom. I do like the little squares, though. I think that adds, a little bit of continuity between my clusters. The clusters are not real big. I mean, they're kind of minimal. Like I said, this layout, I'm not going to say it's not my favorite. I struggled with it. But you know what? It's documented, and I'm happy to have it done. And I need to get myself a Washington, D.C. album, I guess. I don't know. I've been putting kind of random layouts in a book of like places we've gone or whatever. And I feel like I'm missing out the opportunity to group all this stuff together. I'm going to glue this down. I'm sorry, you guys. I feel like this is a really boring video. So y'all tell me am I being boring? It's early in the morning yet again, and I just can't get my thoughts organized this morning. It's one of those kind of days, You ever wake up and you've got like, I'm just a little discombobulated. So I got my Nuvo glue. I'll take my glossy accents. I don't put that on camera, so you don't have to mess with it. Now, this is where I get the black ink. It's the Lindy Stamp Gain. It's like something coal. It's got like a little gold undertone in it, so it kind of will dry with a little gold ring or whatever. Or if you happen to dry it with a paper towel, it'll actually take the black up and leave the gold almost. And that's that, you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sorry today was kind of blah. You guys check out the playlist, because probably somebody else is a lot more entertaining today. And I'll have a better one tomorrow, I promise. We'll talk later. Bye.